So they're only referring to the sun because it's a solar calendar, and they're giving you a date. If you on this date, if you are a Capricorn, if you are a Capricorn means if your sun, according to our definition of where Capricorn is, your sun was in Capricorn, then if you are a Capricorn on this date, here's the prediction. So a siderealist would never consult that because it's based on a wrong placement 3/4 of the time, and it's only based on one planet. A siderealist sidereal means stars.
Okay.
So a sidereal astrologer wants to have his placements accurate according to the fixed zodiac of stars.
Okay. So is it practiced much in the West?
More and more,
Yeah.
because Eastern knowledge is coming over ever since the 60s pretty much, and it's been increasing. So the Eastern sidereal astrology.
So, in this increasingly materialistic and technological culture that we live in, approaching astrology as a very accurate science becomes a bit of a hard sell unless, as you say, one's a serious occultist. Let's say for someone who's intelligent and inquisitive but is not a serious occultist or transcendentalist, how would you explain why it should be taken seriously, or why it's a valid science in its own right that should be approached with respect and an open mind?
Because of the two major principles that validate astrology. We discussed one of them yesterday. As above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody doesn't believe in that, then why should they study astrology? Then they're going to dismiss it and blow it off as just all a colossal hoax. They're going to blow it off as just all kinds of mental speculation that has no bearing to a living being on Earth. But if you have the occult understanding as above, so below, then the planets, where they're situated in their stars, in their signs, in their relationships, angular relationships, etc., at the time of your first breath stamped what was there in the heavens, quote unquote, we use in the heavens, they stamp that influence of that exact moment onto your astral body. And you have that in you, what was ever the energy of that moment, and that can be studied. Another major principle is that there are laws in the material universe that are determined by how the planets are moving from sign to sign, angular relationship to angular relationship, star to star, that there are laws governing how things will happen on the earth based upon those movements in the heaven. So if you understand those movements and you contact seers of the truth who know those laws and therefore say this, this, and this, conjunct this, etc., whatever the law is, it may be a simple law, it may be a complicated law. If you consult the seer of the truth, then he can give you all the laws or any particular law. But the study of astrology is the study also of the understandings of the laws of those placements, conjunctions, aspects, etc., that produce principles and laws here that are at work. In other words, a law that we are governed by so many laws. Anybody that says that he's not is an ignoramus. We're not at all free. We have so many laws. The process of liberation is to get free from all those so many laws that we're under. If you can get free from all of them, then you're totally liberated. But as you want to, for example, say somebody is a human being and he's governed by so many laws, and then whatever country he's living in, he's governed by the laws of that country. Then he's also governed by city laws, whatever city he's in, etc. And then if he decides to go into the military, he's going to be governed even by more laws. And then if he does some infraction while he's in the military, he's going to go into prison, and he's going to be governed even by more laws. So the whole goal is to get more and more free from all these oppressive laws. And if you understand how the laws are working, then you can learn how to be able to get free from them in order to not be entangled in them. You don't do certain things. And by not doing certain things, or in some cases doing certain things, such as sadhana and japa and all of these good things, you can get free from these laws. You can transcend the influence of these laws. And the more and more you transcend these influences, the more and more you become liberated. So this is the process of yoga, of course. And yoga is not restricted to one yoga, although there is a yoga that's the topmost yoga. But there's Ashtanga yoga, which is sometimes called Hatha yoga, or sometimes called Pranayama yoga, or sometimes called Dhyana yoga. There's Sankhya yoga, there's Jnana yoga, there is the yoga, Kundalini yoga, based on chakra movement, energies through the chakras. And of course there's Karma yoga, everyone has heard of Karma yoga. Then there's Buddhi yoga, and there's Bhakti yoga. There's many yoga processes, but all yoga processes are meant to liberate the living entity from all these unnecessary entanglements and oppressive laws, to get freedom from laws so that one can develop his psychic powers in his real, true glory.
I'm curious how Western, the great intellectuals of Western culture, how they viewed astrology, either tropical or sidereal.
The only intellectual that I know in modern times was Carl Jung. And to some degree it can be said that Jung introduced astrology to the intellectual class in America. Not totally so, but to some degree it was so. He popularized it by speaking about it. Most of the Western intellectuals are not into it. But of course, not being into tropical astrology is not a disqualification.
Right. What did Jung say about astrology?
He said that at every moment there is a particular type of energy and a particular quality at every moment. And then he correlated that with the moment of birth, that you'll have that particular energy and quality.
What are you hoping, if somebody buys your book and reads it, what are you hoping they'll come away with from that?
A desire to learn the science for themselves, for their own benefit, to take advantage of the science in a proper way. And also I do follow-up. In other words, I don't just I'm giving a lot of new information in my book that's never been given before, and then I'm giving information that has been given, but in a more clear way. But I offer services also in my book, so that the person who reads my book, which is a requirement before I will do the services. The book has to be purchased and read first. Then I will offer the services. So someone who comes to me for sidereal service, for help in understanding, is going to already have a significant amount of understanding because I provided it in my book, which has been purchased first. And then the chart will be done, basic natal chart will be done, and then services such as Muhurta service, which is election astrology, compatibility. And also I offer, if someone has the necessary prerequisites in his chart, I offer also training so that he or she can become a professional core sidereal astrologer.
Can you tell us a bit about election astrology? First of all, what does it mean? What are some examples of it, and how can one benefit from it?
If people understood election astrology, if they really understood how important it is on any endeavor that was major, they would never undertake it unless they first got an excellent election chart. Now, I'm just going to give one example, but you can have election charts in any major, and you should have in any major field of endeavor, such as house building, marriage, so any major endeavor when you first start schooling, education. But I'm just going to give a very common one, that's travel. Travel, obviously, no matter what mode of transportation you choose, there's danger involved.